Nina. Thank you for your work on your lesson so far. I know we met about this last week, so let me know if you would like to meet again after you have a chance to work on this a little bit more. I think you have a good idea. That being said, it seems like you might be doing a lot of work for the students, so consider what are the students doing, because that's a little less clear to me in looking over your lesson plan. So remember your essential question and the standard that you want the students to be thinking about how do environmental changes affect these different animals. And I'm not really understanding how you're getting to that by looking over your lesson plan. So make sure that you're keeping that essential question and you're keeping that objective in mind, that you need to be getting the students to think about what are changes in my animal's environment that would help it and help it survive, what are changes that would be harmful to the animal that I'm studying. So in looking over your plan, you have a lot of great ideas. You may decide that you have a few too many targets for one lesson. So, you're just developing one lesson rather than a whole unit, so keep that in mind. Also remember that your clarifying objective is really a reasoning objective, so make sure that you have some reasoning learning targets. All of these are knowledge, 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 knowledge. Now, that being said, I can understand that changes in one population would affect changes in another. That is sort of a reasoning target, but again, make sure you have at least one target that really gets to this clarifying objective of changes in the environment and how they impact animals. In terms of describing specific environments, you might have that as being part of the lesson, but it might not need to be one of your learning targets per se, so just keep that in mind. So you have some ideas in terms of how you might integrate translanguaging here, that you might integrate some vocabulary words in Spanish as well as English, maybe encourage students to converse in Spanish. And you have a lot of Spanish speakers in your class, so you might look to find a complementary video that relates to your content that is in Spanish that you could use as part of your engagement activities. So mainly what I would say with regards to both your content and language objectives is probably pare them down a little bit. You don't necessarily have to have a language objective for vocabulary, skills, grammar, and strategies. We brainstormed all of those categories so that you could think about different possible objectives, but keep your objectives doable for one lesson. With regards to information about your bilingual students, you have a lot of bilingual students in your classroom, so to make things manageable for you, maybe select one or two people that you can observe and tell me about. So here I understand that your teacher is not giving you their WIDA levels. That's fine. You're going to use your can-do descriptors that you have from WIDA to decide, okay, I think these students are at a level 3 in reading, at a level 4 in speaking. Here is why. Just a brief sentence or two about what you've observed with regards to their English proficiency. And then here you need to include what you've observed with regards to their proficiency in Spanish. The reason why is because if you have students who are at an entering level in reading in English but can read in Spanish, then you need to be providing them with a text about what they're doing in Spanish so that they can still engage in the lesson at the same level as everybody else. So you have a nice website that you picked out. As I was mentioning, given the number of bilingual students in your classroom, I'd really encourage you to look for at least one resource in Spanish that you could include in your lesson. Here you can put down the ideas you have for integrating two languages, for getting your students to use both of their languages in your lesson. All right, and then for your vocabulary, you want to pick out, since we're just talking about one lesson, you want to pick out maybe 2 or 3 key vocab that you're really going to get the kids to focus on. And this might be population, and it might be change. And then in terms of skill, think about it. Like, what's the main skill that they're going to be doing? Are they going to be comparing? Are they going to be describing? Are they going to be explaining? And if there's any grammatical structures that you think are important, if there's not, that's all right too. But if there's any grammatical things that you think are important, then you're going to list that here. So once you get down to your lesson plan itself, you have some ideas, and I understand you're going to be, you've created this book. They're going to maybe be, I'm still not quite following if they're going to be assigned an animal. Are you going to give them different resources to do a little research on their animal? Again, I think you're going to need more than one website. Perhaps. You might have students with different reading levels. So again, try to find some different levels of text, some different types of resources if the students are doing some research. You're also going to need to have some guiding questions. And again, don't forget about that big idea about how do changes in our environment affect the animals. So I'm going kind of long in the tooth here, so I need to wrap up. But just in this section, you really need to think this out and really describe to me what are you saying, what are the students doing, what materials are they going to have, and you need to show me what that's going to look like in detail in this section. But you have a great draft started. If you want to work on this and then meet with me again, let me know. Also get some input from Ms. Laughlin in terms of reading levels for your students. Thanks a lot, Nina.